Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gorecom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, happy to have him back, Andrew Davidson, CEO, Chairman, Royal Helium, trades on the venture under RHC, and for our friends in the US, under RHCCF. For those of you new to the story, because you might have saw some big headlines and some real big tweets that are going around, because we're talking about billions of cubic feet of stuff, and you're probably wondering, who are these guys? If you thought about balloons and blimps when we started talking about helium, or if you hear about helium, I wouldn't blame you, but you'd also be missing out on a much bigger picture, and that is that helium goes beyond balloons. It's a high-tech gas used in many high-tech applications that people don't know about, but here's a couple just to give you some eye-openers. MRI magnets, fiber optic cables for high-speed internet, chips in electronics, even cleaning rocket fuel tanks. And that's just the beginning of it. Ton of it in medical. What that has done, the demand for all those industries has created a supply shortage, a supply problem. And naturally, that's actually affected, now it's been a little bit turbulent, but has affected prices naturally, put helium on the radar. Saskatchewan is one of the only places on Earth with current and past production of primary helium. This is where Royal Helium comes into play. They're one of the largest landholders searching for helium. Their goal at the outset was to deliver a minimum of 1 trillion cubic feet of inert gas. We'll talk about that. They already discovered 500 billion cubic feet of inert gas from one well and one zone, and that prompted this quote from Andrew, who in the past, back in May, said, "The regolith appears to be helium charged over a significant interval, and once the production methodology is determined, it has the potential to be one of the largest helium discoveries in Saskatchewan history." Those are big words. Let's put them to the test. Andrew, welcome back, man.
Oh, thanks, George. Yeah.
The press release we're talking about today came out September 15th last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read the headline: Royal Helium drilled stem test 120 meters at Climax 4. Nobody knows what that means.
Yeah.
Okay, we know that's why we're here. But before we get into these drill results, I want to give new people the big picture. All right, what's the big picture of what you've got so far, so people can really put these numbers into perspective?
Yeah, well, thanks, and great question. And you're right. When we get into talking about technical testing, it goes over most people's heads, including my own initially, anyway. What we found here at Climax is just it's a zone that we weren't expecting to hit, and frankly didn't exist on any geological maps. So it was I won't say luck, but it was good geological drilling from our technical guys that led to this. And we came across a zone that we initially called the regolith that was 100 meters thick, that we tested 39 meters of in Climax number 3. So globally speaking, in terms of the size of a helium zone, a charged helium formation zone, you're looking at 1 to 5 meters as being quite large. On the US side, that would be exceptionally large. We came across almost 40 meters of it in Climax 3. And that led us to drilling this 4th well, which is an offset to that, where we tested this formation and actually cored it. And when we core a well, that means recovering the actual formation rock, getting it into the labs and getting it tested for porosity, permeability, all these other things that help define how gas flows. So expecting to find the same thing at Climax 4, we found something much, much larger. The zone that we ended up testing, it was 120 meters thick. That's about the size of a 12-story building.
That almost sounds like a blowaway number, given what you said a minute ago about what the standard is.
Yeah, no, it's beyond anything we could have expected. It's just enormous and very consistently helium charged throughout. Now, what a drill stem test is, George, is basically opening up the hole at surface and letting the gas naturally flow out on its own, and then capturing that gas, recording flow rates and pressures, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how you determine commerciality of a zone. And it's quite common to drill stem test smaller intervals, but given the sheer size of what we found here, we did 120 meters and in 3 separate tests, 40 meters each.
And your quote, I got to read it from this press release, because listen, the words, so for all of us at home, we're not helium tested. we are looking to immediately expand our drilling and completions team so that we can be simultaneously drill testing some of the highest historic helium shows located in southeastern Saskatchewan, while continuing the development at Climax Nazar without delay or compromise. So, first of all, because when you say those numbers before, a lot of us really don't know what that means, but in your own words, saying some of the highest historic helium shows located in southeastern Saskatchewan, while continuing. So, question to clarify for the market: are there two separate areas of discovery?
Yes. Yes, there are. I mean, in fact, there's more than two. So the zones that we've been talking about so far, that is one zone within one well of what we've drilled so far. There are multiple zones within the 4 wells that we've drilled. The southeast stuff is where we're moving next. So this is an area where we'll be looking to basically doing some wildcat drilling over there to repeat the same results we had in the southwest. So how we're going to do that is we're going to run a couple of separate drilling rigs at the same time. So we're going to continue drilling at Climax, and we're going to be drilling in the southeast, looking for multiple zones in both places. So we've got an enormous amount of gas that we've discovered so far out of one zone, out of one well.
And that was from my intro, right? Maybe
that was from your intro. Yeah, that was Climax number 3, which we're adding on to now with a Climax number 4, and those numbers should be out within about a month. And that's going to be a watershed moment for our company when we bring that out. But the stuff that we're doing over in the southeast is over and above, and that is in the highest known helium concentrations in Saskatchewan history. We are offsetting wells that return those results.
One thing even the most layman investors know about whenever you're drilling, you need things like grades or concentration, because sometimes you hear a company, Georgetown Mining finds a massive amount of something, but the grade is just so low it doesn't make it economical. So in helium, it's not grades. I think you talk about concentrations. What type of concentrations are you seeing so far, and more importantly, what kind of concentration numbers do you need for Climax 4, for example, to be economic?
Yeah, sure. Well, at Climax, we are seeing numbers anywhere from 0.5% up to 0.94% is what we've seen down there. Those are massively economic concentrations. They sound very small, and they are very small, but the zone size and the amount of flow that we expect to receive makes it highly, highly economic. The cutoff in Saskatchewan is anywhere below 0.3 is sort of the economic cutoff for helium production here. The areas we're going to in the southeast have concentrations from historic tests in the 2.5% to 3% helium range. So 3 times the size in terms of concentration numbers. Now, what we have at Climax is a very economical zone over just enormous intervals. So the amount of gas we expect to get compensates for that somewhat lower concentration. But again, the 0.5% helium is, more than 10 times the global average.
I was about to ask you that exact number, which is, what are other helium producers and what kind of concentrations are they at? So,
well, the other principal helium production parts of the world being, Russia and Qatar, their average grade is about 0.04%. 0.04%, and we're talking about 0.5%. So we're significantly higher than global average. There are other parts of North America with higher concentrations. We've seen some of that coming out of Arizona, much smaller zones with higher concentration. Saskatchewan has this unique balance of large zone with good solid economic concentrations and very little water. For in our zone, for example, this Nazar zone that we're calling it now, there is no water. It is 100% dry, which is, globally speaking, exceptionally uncommon.
So it almost sounds like it's too good to be true. You're getting size, you're getting concentrations. Is there any skeleton in the closet here? Is there something that is there a flaw here, or something that makes you nervous and keeps you up at night, or is it just now a question of degree of success from the drilling you guys are doing?
Well, at Climax, it becomes a degree of success on the completion side, which is really a function of how do we open these wells up and get them flowing at very, very high rates. I don't have a lot of fear in that. I mean, the zones are opened up in Saskatchewan and far, far tighter rock than this on a daily basis. So no, that does not worry me in the least. If there's anything that keeps me up at night, it's just hoping that we can repeat this level of success over in the southeast, and that's it, right? Because we're moving over there and drilling our first wells, hopefully by mid-October, and that's going into a new field for us. We have a lot of confidence going over there because we've done the same geoscience that we did at Climax. We've done it over in the southeast as well, and we have multiple wellbore penetrations over there. I mean, we're moving into really the heart of oil and gas country in Saskatchewan. There are literally tens of thousands of wellbore penetrations in our area, so lots of well control. You know, we're very, very confident in our success rate going over there. But that said, they are our first wells, so if there's something keeping you up at night, it's that.
In the past, you've talked about with us that the possibility, because the next question becomes, again, because most people have never looked into helium. They're hearing for the first time. But we've all heard gold and copper stories where, okay, George Con Mining finds something, and then you hear, if everything goes well, it'll take 5 years for us to start pulling ore out of the ground and making money. That's not the case with helium and gas. And earlier in the year, you had stated that there was a potential, the way things were going, that you could be producing by year's end. Where are you there, and are you able to shed a little more light as to, because that's phenomenal, because to me that says you're going to be cash flowing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're moving towards it. Our goal is still to have it done this year. If it pushes into the first part of Q1, so be it.
Yeah,
because there are some delays that you can have. We don't have any of them right now, and that's partly because of how we're moving to production. Instead of trying to build our own facilities internally, we're going to be partnering with a third-party processor who has the technology in place already to come and process gas. So that eliminates a lot of these logistical delays in getting the equipment to site. We simply don't have that issue right now. We don't have any issues on delays with labs. I mean, there's been no impact whatsoever. I mean, we produce gas here, it gets sealed up and taken to Calgary. We have results within a day. There are no delays on testing. Really, we are still lined up to meet that timeline of end of Q4. And once that happens, George, I mean, cash flow coming back at an exploration company that has 1 million acres of ground, which it's tested, right now we've tested 4 sections of ground, over 1 million acres of potential development.
And you're hitting it out of the park already.
Yeah,
not that that means you're going to keep in there.
Rate.
We've got to make sure to tell people that, but it's a great start. It's a great start you dream of, right?
It is. Yeah. And we don't model around having 100% hit rate. No, nobody should. The fact that we've got it so far is a nice head start.
How much more drilling do you think you need to do until you've got a pretty good idea as to what you've got? And keeping in mind, you might be drilling the next 10 years if you keep, but for this first phase right now, how much more drilling do you think you need to do until you guys can say, okay, here's what we know we've got?
Yeah. So at Climax, we're done that part. We're through that phase. So we don't need to drill any more exploration wells. We've got all the information we need. It's in the lab. Any well we drill at Climax is now going to be a pure development well. They're going to be all production wells. And that's not to say that the first 4 that we've drilled aren't. They all are going to be production wells. But we've got the geological signature pegged down now through seismic and aeromagnetics and actual drill results, that how we drill that going forward is very, very easy to define. Moving over to the southeast, I'll get back to you. We just don't know yet, because
you're just starting. I mean, you're just going down that path.
Yeah. But we're fully into drilling development wells at Climax now. And in fact, we had initially talked about drilling this 4th well at Climax and drilling 6 new wells over in the southeast. That plan has revised somewhat based on our results here in number 4, where we're into a hot play. We're going to keep drilling at Climax. We're going to start drilling producers starting next month. And so if that takes a well or 2 out of the southeast for now, so be it. We're still going to go drill the highest concentrations.
You got the bird in the hand, right? You're gonna stick with that.
You got a hot hand. You might as well go with it for a bit. So we're gonna keep riding that horse.
Cash obviously is important when it comes to exploration companies, especially small cap exploration companies. Where are you at with your cash position right now? Because again, and I always like to play devil's advocate, right? Because I don't want these things to be cheerleading episodes. We know that something that can happen with resource companies is they're finding stuff, it looks great, but now they got to go back to the market and they got to go raise $1 gazillion, and that causes a problem, right?
Yeah.
Talk to us about your cash position, but more importantly, how far that cash takes you in this business plan.
Yeah. So right now, obviously, we're cashed up to a large degree. We can finish the entirety of our exploration program and the development wells that we're planning on drilling at Climax with existing resources on hand without having to come back to market. It's one of the reasons we upsized our last raise, is we wanted that cushion, depending on what number 4 told us. And I'm glad we did, because it has changed our plans. So we're clear through into 2022 with no issues whatsoever on needing to raise capital. And we also have a number of warrants outstanding that could get exercised at any moment. So there's no need to come back to market for us anytime soon.
Do you think at this point, Roy, and I might put you on the spot here, but do you think Royal Helium is one of the leading, if not the leading, small cap helium exploration company out there now, given the and what is the rest of the industry saying? Because if things are going well, typically you start getting knocks on the door from bigger companies, potentially bigger customers. What's the industry buzz, and how do you feel about how you guys are positioned?
Yeah, understanding, of course, that I'm a bit biased in answering this question, but we're viewed very favorably, and one of the reasons for that is we don't come to market unless we have a fully fleshed out plan and we know exactly what we're going to do with that capital. We go out and we raise it, and then we do exactly what we said we were going to do. And we do it on very quick timelines. And that's part of the advantages of being in Saskatchewan, is that when we say we're going to go drill a well, it's, we'll be drilling a well within 3 weeks. It's not a 6-month or a year-long wait on permits. There's none of that issue here. When we want to go drilling, we go drilling, and our results speak for themselves.
Yeah, you guys definitely are the doers.
Yeah,
in the space, not the talkers.
Well, we're George, we're mining helium, not capital, right? That's what we're doing.
Great way to put it.
Yeah. So that's how we look at it. I mean, we've got all of our own money in this as well. I mean, we're some of the largest shareholders and management insiders, so we're clearly incented to do the right things with it. And again, I mean, our track record on drilling speaks for itself. By the end of this year, we'll have drilled more wells than any other helium exploration company that currently exists.
But not just drilling more wells, and actually getting great hits.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Presuming we have any modicum of success going forward, we'll be, approaching, 8-10 successful helium wells drilled in 2021.
Let's talk about the biz side for a second. If everything goes well, you start, producing. What's the market? Because people can't go click on on Bloomberg and go find the price of helium. At least I don't think so.
No, you can't.
What is that? What does the pricing look like? So the drilling is economic right now. You think right now is you have reason to believe that the resource economic. Yeah. How's the market out there for pricing, and how's the market out there for customers? Are they out there for you to be able to sell to?
Yeah, great questions. And the answer is that the price fluctuates pretty wildly depending on what the length of contract that you sign is, but that wild fluctuation is somewhere between the $300 and $500 US per MCF. So still materially high gas prices, especially compared to other gases that get produced. So we internally, we model it at prices far below that in the spirit of being conservative and making sure your project works if there's a black swan event in the helium industry. The demand is there. It fluctuated a bit with COVID, as you would expect, as MRIs weren't used as much because the hospital capacity was focused on COVID.
Right.
That's returned now. The market remains in deficit of helium supply, and there are lots of buyers out there, both end user and processors.
So safe to say they're watching, Andrew? They're actually.
Oh yeah, no, we have regular discussions with them. In fact, I've got another one tomorrow with one of the midstream groups. So I would say on that front, with regards to how we're going to develop and move forward into economic production, I think we're going to have some finality on that in the next month to 45 days. on who we're going to be partnering with and what that looks like on pricing going forward. So, because obviously we can't go to production without that, because we're not in the business of drilling, finding a resource, and then building a refinery and then building gas stations to sell it. We're looking to drill, find helium, and then sell it to a partner who can carry us in the intervening period. Once we get to the point where we have enough production to justify larger scale facilities, we'll bring those in. But for now, we're interested in getting cash flow coming back at us as soon as possible.
Cash is cash, right? You know, it
cash.
doesn't matter if cash is coming out, then that's the best thing in the world.
Exactly.
Tongue in cheek, one of the uses I talked about was cleaning rocket fuel tanks. Bezos and Musk have been launching. Any chance you're going to give them a call and say, hey guys, for future launches, you know, let us clean out your tanks?
You know, we should lock up a direct supply contract with Elon. Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Every other junior resource company is trying to lock up Elon Musk on lithium, cobalt, nickel, whatever. Right?
Yeah, you know what?
Why can't you lock him up on helium?
I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought of that already, George.
That's funny, because I just thought about that a minute ago.
I'm having trouble finding Elon's cell phone number, but if I grab it, I'll give him a call.
All right, last question, Andrew. How, you know, when we first started, you guys were just getting going. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you guys with the progress today? Because to me, it seems like it's exceeded your expectations, your team's expectations, but that's me thinking it. What are you guys thinking? You know, what's the thought there in terms of how well things are going at Royal Helium?
Yeah, well, I mean, from a technical standpoint, our technical guys, they're off the charts, happy with how it's gone. For me, I'm never satisfied. I want to keep going and keep building. So until we have gas flowing out of the ground and being sold into pipe, I'm not going to be at that 10 out of 10. I'm as close as you can get without that. But everything we've done today has been a terrific success.
Yeah, and I like that. That's the way leaders should be. You're confident, you feel great, but until it starts coming out and you're depositing cash in the bank, your nose is still to the ground.
Yeah, my job is to deliver cash flow for our shareholders, and until I've started doing that in an economic fashion, I'm not done.
Well, I think I speak on behalf of everyone who's watching at home or listening on a podcast that you've got everyone behind you. They're happy with the progress you made to date, and can't wait to see you get that ball. It feels like you're first and goal now, and it seems like it's imminent. But yeah, you're right. We still got to get the football over the line, and
that's right.
We wish you all the success with that, and can't wait to have you back.
That's great, George. I appreciate the time.
For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform. To Andrew Davidson, he's CEO and chairman of Royal Helium. The company trades on the Venture Exchange under the stock symbol RHC. For our friends in the US, under RHCCF. Your part now, guys, is to do your due diligence. And we know that you got to do it because who else is doing helium, or who else is doing helium successfully in the small cap space? The way you do that is first get to the company's profile page on Agoracom, because we know that this is a brand new sector for people. We give you a good 1,000-foot view of the company, really put it out there for you to understand all the different elements. So you got a good grasp, a layman's grasp. But then from there, hop over to the company's website. You can see it right above Andrew, or you can do it from Agoracom, Royal Helium Ltd, Royal Helium Limited.com. Get there, do your deep dive due diligence. Because look, you've heard and you've watched what Andrew's had to say. They're not that far away. Even if it's Q1, they're not that far away from potentially producing and generating cash flow. So if you're going to do your due diligence, this is it. Just don't say we didn't tell you so. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.